Dear Eve, and welcome to Sibyl Tarot. This is a reading for the new moon in Libra that's occurring on the 16th of October. I think it's around 7:30 in the evening. I'm just going to pull a few cards here and see what energies. So this is a very intense time with this new moon in Libra here, because of all the planets that are situated that are squaring this new moon, you know, or like we have Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto all in the final degrees. They're all conjunct in Capricorn, which is squaring Mars, which is retrograde in Aries, and Mercury is also retrograde in Scorpio. Very Mars, a lot of Mars energy here as well. And then we have Venus in Virgo, and we have Neptune in Pisces, which is in opposition to this new moon in Libra. We also have the Sun in Libra, and tomorrow with this new moon is a special. With the Sun and the Moon in Libra, we also have a particular auspicious star that's from the Virgo constellation, and it's named as Spica, and for many it's known as the Star of Our Lady. So I'm just going to pull a few cards here and we'll see what pops out for this new moon in Libra time. So the first card out we have here is the Seven of Swords, air energy. The next card out we have here is the Nine of Swords, more air energy. The next card we have is the Princess of Pentacles, earth energy. And then we have the Two of Swords, more air energy. And this, actually, the Two of Swords, this card talks about Moon in Libra here. The next card out we have here is the Knight of Wands. The next card we have is the Ten of Swords, more air energy. And the next card we have is the King of Swords, more air energy. A lot of conflict here, a lot of mind games, a lot of battling going on. And I feel this is more so to do, out in this, for the collective, so to speak. Which we all know kind of as to what is going on. And we also have here is the Queen of Swords. So I feel, at this moment, this Seven of Swords here is in the position of Saturn. And the Seven of Swords is the Thief card. I don't know if you can see it there. Okay, but it's in the planet of Saturn, and Saturn is, Saturn represents, governments, structures, and I feel at this time, there's a really heavy energy about, with Saturn, in its final degrees in Capricorn, and it talks about, the crumbling, of outdated structures, with this, because a lot of people I feel, have this feeling, they're being ripped off, they're being ripped off, in many ways, emotionally, financially, just, with all these rules and regulations, that are coming into play now. But as I say, this is just, a very, very critical time. I feel with this new moon that's, in Libra. Libra talks about, diplomacy, it talks about balance and that. And I feel we're just at the height of all this, chaos around us and that. And I feel this new moon, is going to bring in, some type of, how would you say, like, agreement, with Libra, taking into account both sides, that way. And I feel, especially here, this Ten of Swords here is like, it's saying, people have had enough, they're worried about the future, the immediate future, they're even, going into the new year and that, they're just worried about the future in general because of what's going on here, because of the Seven of Swords, because they feel that, they're being, people are being ripped off, and they have every right to feel that, you know what I mean, because, there's no equilibrium, so to speak. But I feel that this new moon is going to bring in this equilibrium. There's going to be some there has to be, you know what I mean, there has to be, a break to this, it's like, because what is that saying about, the camel's back or something, it's the final straw, that broke the camel's back, so to speak. But this is talking about, this Nine of Swords is talking about, it's in the Mars position, and as I said, Mars is retrograde in Aries, and Mars is the warrior, and Mars will, fight to the end. But saying that Saturn, they're both malefic planets, but Saturn is a much heavier planet, it's it's putting restriction, a restrictive energy, throughout. Mars is, trying to, fight that restriction off, you know what I mean? But maybe not in, an organised fashion, so to speak. Do you know, that way, where Saturn would be very, very stringent, you know what I mean? The rules and the regulations would be having to be put on, and Mars is trying to fight that off. And this is what, they're saying with the planets, that this is what's causing, this all this going on in, in 2020, but we also have here now is the Princess of Pentacles, and she is in, the Venus sign. She's in the position for Venus, and Venus is actually in Virgo, and Venus will go into Libra the same day that Mercury retrogrades back into Libra. And Mercury have here, Mercury just turned retrograde there a couple of days ago, and they say with Mercury, when it turns retrograde, that's a breakdown in communication, there's a breakdown in information, and in order as well, a breakdown, with normality, so this here with the Two of Swords, this, is talking about the moon in Libra, at this time, but talking about Mercury. But Venus, is rules Libra, and Venus is trying to, create, stability, in, you know, in an understanding way, you know, in a practical way, you know, not to be losing the head, or, you know, that's, you know, and I mean this as, you know, for the collective, so to speak, not just on an individual. It can be, you know, on an individual level or that, but Venus is trying, you know, its best, you know, because it's in Virgo, and, you know, it doesn't do too well in Virgo, but they say, you know, Venus is debilitated in Virgo, you know what I mean? So it's struggling there at the moment, you know, it's struggling to be seen, so to speak. Struggling, you know, to feel that energy, you know what I mean? To feel that, you know, energy of love because of what's going on, you know, with the main planet, with the heavy planets such as Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So as I was saying, you know, Saturn is bringing in these laws, you know, is bringing in this heaviness, you know, rules, restrictions, and that, and alongside or right beside it, you know, it's like, you know, as if it's a teammate, we have Pluto, you know, and Pluto, you know, talks about, you know, extremities, you know, so it's it also, you know, it's intensifying, you know, the heaviness. And then as well, Jupiter is alongside them then, and Jupiter is about magnification, do you know what I mean? Expanding it, you know. So everybody's going to feel this, you know, in some way or another, this heavy, you know, duty or whatever. And then we have Mars trying to, you know, Mars is squaring up to it, do you know what I mean? And it's in its own sign, so it feels very powerful, yet it is retrograding, but it is squaring up to these three energies, you know, these three heavy planets, or that, so to speak. But what it's saying is as well that for this Libra new moon, we also had a full moon on the 1st of October, and we'll have another one on the 31st of October. The one that we had there recently was in Aries, yet again, more Mars energy, more fighting, you know, more rebelliousness, I should say. And then the next full moon at the end of the month we'll have is in Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, you know, and by then Mercury will have retrograded back from Scorpio. Scorpio's all Mars as well, more, you know, intensity, more flying off the handle, losing the head. We'll have we'll have Venus then going back in, you know, to Venus will be going forward into Libra. We'll have Mercury going back, retrograding into Libra, and this is all by the next, you know, full moon on the 31st, you know, which is somewhat good. But as well, we have the planet of Uranus, and the planet of Uranus is sudden change, you know, a sudden bolt, you know, stuff that rocks, you know, the foundations, you know, and that's in Taurus, you know, as well, you know, and Taurus is all, you know, about the second house, you know, so it's about finance and that. So I feel, you know, from this time, you know, this is going to be the ultimate, you know, the summit of all this, you know, building up, and then I feel for the next couple of months what we'll have now will be more to do with, you know, finance, and we can see that, you know what I mean, we can see in the news that, you know, we're going into recession and that, you know, and this is all you know, quite self-explanatory if you look, you know, into astrology or that, you know, you can really predict as to what, you know, what is to come, like, but we have here then we have here in the position of Jupiter is the King of Wands, you know, and Jupiter is, you know, made up of gas or whatever, you know, and this King of Wands, you know, is fiery or whatever, you know, but Jupiter kind of you know, because, you know, it expands, you know, Jupiter is determined, you know, to push Saturn forward, like, you know, and to, because it's alongside Saturn, to stick with these, you know, heavy rules and, you know, regulations, you know, so to speak, and along with Pluto as well, you know, it's just very, very, very intense. It's going to be, you know, for the next couple of weeks and anyway, you know, and until then, Mars, I think, comes out mid-November, you know, out from retrograde, and will start going forward. I feel then we will have some you know, some sort of relief, so to speak. But talking about this new moon, so in the position of the moon is the Ten of Swords. So for me, this is representing that, you know, the old way, do you know what I mean? The old way of life, you know, is dying, and a new day is dawning, you know, that way. This is the death of God, the death of ego, like, you know, and for everyone, for the whole collective, whichever side that, you know, you're on, whatever belief that you have, you know, you have to let go of ego. You can't, you know, you have to understand each side of, you know, each other's perspective, you know. You respect, you know, in some degree, you know, each other's, you know, belief systems and that, because everyone, you know, is really in a lot of opposition to others, you know. You might not agree, you know, or downright not agree about, you know, your friends, you know, your friend's perspective for that, but it's asking you, you know, to not even to understand, but just to respect their belief system, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people are worried about, you know, just worried about different things and the total opposite things, you know, but it's just because we all, you know, how we live our lives, our own individual lives, we all have our own, you know, priorities, or, you know, our own worries as well, our own fears, especially fears, you know, because a lot of it is all fear-based, with everything, you know, on both sides, you know, and I think, you know, with this new moon, it's, you know, it's saying, you know, and especially as well with that star Spica, you know, they're all aligned. The new moon, the sun and Spica are all at this exact degree in Libra, do you know? So it's kind of, you know, saying, right, you know, the universe saying, right, we Earth here is going through, you know, so much. We have to bring in some, you know, some type of healing, some, you know, mothering energy, so to speak. And what, you know, what's more beautiful, you know, than, you know, the Star of Our Lady, or that, you know, this lovely, you know, mothering energy. And then we have in what you call it, the center of the raid, you know, and this is the sun, you know, the position of the sun. You know, we have the King of Swords, do you know, and the King of Swords, he has his arms crossed, do you know what I mean? He's protecting his heart, and this is what we could all individually be doing, is protecting our heart, you know, protecting, you know, and he holds the sword, you know, so what he deems to be the truth, do you know what I mean? What his beliefs are, you know, he's holding up this sword, he's defending himself, you know, he's defending his, and I think each and every person is at this time trying to defend, you know, their selves, their livelihood, their homes, their families, their friends, their freedom, you know, and, you know, even in, but it's, you know, with the sun here, because the sun, you know, is, you know, will burn all this, you know, all the negativity, so to speak, you know, or the shadow side, you know, if there's a dark side, you know, it will all be revealed, you know, and the truth will, you know, the truth will reveal itself, so to speak. But, you know, at the bottom of the deck we have here is the Queen of Swords, you know, and the King of Swords. Now these both are air signs, you know, they both can represent Libra, they can represent, actually they represent Libra and Aquarius. And I feel so strongly that this is just a new, you know, evolution that's coming about, you know, that way, because we're coming into this age of Aquarius, you know, we're leaving the age of Pisces behind, we've left it behind, we are in the age of Aquarius, but we're only at the very beginning, and this is all the change, this is all the breakdown, all that Pisces represents is being broken down, you know, and the age of Aquarius, you know, humanitarianism, you know, and that, you know, a higher you know, a higher understanding, a higher learning, a higher even belief, you know, that we're all, you know, one, and that we all have to consider each other, you know, so to speak. This is what Aquarius is all about. But as well, you know, Libra here as well, you know, she's holding her swords, you know. Now she's, you know, holding her sword, she's still protecting as to what, you know, she wants to protect, you know, that way. But she has her hand out, do you know what I mean? She's welcoming, you know, she's welcoming change, or she's welcoming, you know, to be, you know, to listen, you know what I mean, to come forward to listen. And I think that's what, you know, this Libra energy is saying. This Libra new moon is like, you know, we have to be diplomatic on both sides, you know what I mean? You know, in no matter what we do, you know, and even if it's on a personal level, you know, we have to listen to the other person, you know, and hear their, you know, their way of thinking, their perspective or whatever, and respect that. You know, you might not agree with it, but this is what the Libra new moon is, you know, is bringing in. You know, it's trying to bring in balance, you know, equilibrium for both sides, you know, or for all sides. I don't mean both, because there's not just two, you know, things at play here, you know what I mean? There's not just two sides at play here, you know, there's a lot, you know. And I feel that this Libra new moon is bringing in this against all this other, you know, very heavy, you know, energy that we have about. So yeah, so do I have anything else? And as well as that, look, you know, we have, you know, and this could be also with this Mercury retrograde, because Mercury's only gone retrograde, and it goes retrograde a couple of times a year, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, you know, it goes for a number of 3 weeks. But Mercury is all about the mind, do you know what I mean, as well as all about communication. And, you know, there could be that, you know, this Libra new moon is trying to, you know, keep the peace, so to speak, even though there's breakdowns of communication, breakdowns of information, you know. This Libra moon could be, you know, just to, you know, to hold on, you know, for another 3 weeks, because Mercury will start going forward, and then Mars will as well, you know, and things will start to lighten up. In, you know, in some respect, some aspects as well. But it can also talk about, you know, there's a couple here, you know, with the King and the Queen of Swords, you know, and it can talk about, you know, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. You know, it can talk about within yourself, you know, your divine masculine and femininity, you know what I mean? And it can talk about bringing balance, you know, into yourself, you know, like, you know, the yin and the yang, so to speak, but through, you know, through your thoughts or that, you know. So, you know, to have some mental clarity, not to be getting stressed, you know, with this, you know, not to be getting stressed, not to be overthinking things, because some things might never happen, do you know, that way. Like maybe some people are, you know, looking too much into it, you know, or some people are just, you know, not looking, some people are just so confused, do you know, that way as well, like, you know. But with the Nine of Swords here, it's saying, you know, try not to, you know, worry, you know, because this is just a time period, so to speak. And, you know, with the Ten of Swords, something, there will be, you know, final endings, you know, you know, whether that be, you know, in structures, belief systems or whatever, you know, or anything, you know, even on a personal level. But the, you know, the final ending is letting you know for a new day to begin, a new dawn to begin. And, you know, as they say, you know, the dawn, this is the dawn of the age of, you know, Aquarius, so to speak. And I'd say this is why there's a lot of air in this reading too. So yeah, I do hope you like the reading. If you do, please like, share, just leave a comment. This is just, you know, what the cards have drawn out, and just with the layout, I just did a planetary layout. It's just to say as to what, you know, these cards represent in the positions that they are with the planets and that, and it kind of just speaks for itself. We all know, you know, as to it, but I just wanted just to reflect, to show that, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's playing out, you know, far beyond us, so to speak. Okay, Slán.